In a spaceship hurtling through the universe, the Aqua Teens are fighting monsters. There is an army of them, and the three are fighting to save themselves. Frylock, Meatwad, and Master Shake put up a great fight, but they are outnumbered. They need to escape. Frylock and Meatwad get into the escape capsule. There is no room for anyone else. Master Shake will make the ultimate sacrifice. He will stay back on the doomed ship while his teammates travel back to Earth. Only 20 seconds to go. They are saying their goodbyes. Can they make it out in time? Catastrophe strikes before Master Shake allows the capsule to eject. There is a huge bang. His teammates are dead. Only Shake survives to tell the tale. He is telling the story to a man as they wait in line for food at a shelter. Shake is homeless and over 40, but he is a hero who was ready to give up everything for his friends. At least that is what he says. Meatwad would beg to differ, only if he wasn't driving a pack of various sized dogs around the city. On the back of the biggest one, holding the leashes to the others, the ball of meat is trying to reach his home, the dog shelter. As he brings them in, the girl working there is dubious if he is actually stealing these dogs. Meatwad obviously pleads innocent and promises to lock up the shelter at night. The girl leaves him with the keys. What she does not know is that he is actually living in the shelter. Frylock wakes up to the sound of his alarm. He puts some food into the microwave and goes for a shower. His apartment is unkempt but is still better than the other two. But he is lonely. In the shower, he remembers the trio and their fallout. Frylock was the brains of the group. Master Shake might have been the leader, but he was the responsible one holding it all together. And what did he get in return? Nothing. Shake sold his hard drive to get Meatwad a Macaroni Man costume. The hard disk had all of Frylock's work in it, the cure for cancer, and Shake didn't think twice before selling it for some obnoxious fancy dress competition. That was the last straw. He could not encumber himself with these ungrateful rascals. He was sick of having them drag him down. He had to leave. Back at the trio's old apartment, Carl is busy plotting with the vampire. Once Frylock left, the other two didn't earn a penny to pay the rent. They were evicted. Ever since, he has kept the spare condo empty while living in his house next door. And now his wait is finally paying off. Amazon is buying all the land in the area, driving up the prices. In fact, only his plot is left. Carl is over the moon. He cannot wait to sell his property when the prices peak. He will be rich. Finally, he is giddy just thinking about it. Frylock is going to work. He does not use his old name anymore. People call him Phoenix now. It is a monotonous life. He works in the IT department of Amazon. He is too good for this job, but he doesn't push hard to get ahead. He looks resigned. But it's different today. His system has a new ticket. It's an order for batteries from Llama Dolly. As the floating potato reads out the ticket, his two coworkers gasp. Is he really being summoned to Llama Dolly, the llama-shaped skyscraper where Neil resides? The elusive owner of Amazon is an enigma. To be invited to his personal residence for a menial job is unbelievable. But Frylock does not seem to understand the gravity of the situation. His colleagues fill him in on the details. The Llama Dolly is rumored to be a spaceship, but you cannot speak of it. Nobody knows who might be bugged. After all, you don't want to cross Neil. And one other thing, Frylock must be careful not to look at Neil's height. People say he is 4 inches tall, but of course, they do not believe it. The guy looks warily over his shoulders, and Frylock understands what he is dealing with. Frylock walks into the Llama Dolly and finds a short man clamped to a table by his limbs. This must be Neil. It looks like a medieval torture table. But wait, it is actually a stretcher. The machine is pulling at his limbs in alternate turns, in an effort to increase his height. As soon as it's done, Neil runs for the door frame to record his height before he shrinks. Caught by surprise, Frylock does as he is told. He marks the billionaire's height on the doorframe, only to see that he has not been growing at all. That does it. Exasperated by the lack of progress, the tiny guy has the machine thrown out. In the conversations that follow, Frylock begins to comprehend Neil's true intentions. He has summoned Frylock to help him grow in height. Elmer, his current scientific aide, is just not up to the task. In fact, he is busy growing plants that he claims will respond to verbal instructions. Neil looks down upon his work, thinking they are the ramblings of a madman. He invites Frylock for dinner that night. When he arrives, Frylock is brutally mutilated by some goons. When he wakes up in the hospital, he does not know his attackers, nor does he understand their motives. He is badly wounded, but Neil has come to his rescue. He has made him a new cover and will help him recover. It is in this process that the two actually become pals. Frylock begins to work on the DNA splicing formula to make a taller clone of Neil. Carl, on the other hand, is faced with the arrival of an unwanted guest. It's Shake. He has come back to his old neighbor. He needs a place to stay. Carl won't have any of it. He cannot allow a squatter into his property now that he is aiming to sell it. But Master Shake won't budge. He needs help. Carl finds it hard to turn away someone he has known for so long. He relents. Shake can stay since Carl has an empty room. But it is not what you think it is. Carl takes him to the backyard and gives him a giant Amazon shipping box. This is where Shake will live. Shake knows he is at a disadvantage, so he takes it without protest. At night, Carl looks out of the window. Covered only by a cardboard box, Shake is shivering. It must be cold out there. He is contemplating something. He goes out. It is genuinely cold. He knows how to warm up Shake. Carl pulls out a lighter from his pocket and lights his box on fire. As a shrieking Shake rolls around the ground, trying to douse the fire that is burning through his hair and clothes, Carl cackles to himself. He has always liked practical jokes. The back and forth continues until Meatwad joins them. He was kicked out of the animal shelter when they found out that he had been living there. With 2 squatters now living on his property, Carl will make them earn their place. He takes them to the parking lot of the Amazon warehouse. Most of the Japangaloids and Fraptaculans working in the factory sleep in their cars. Carl has been hired by pro-union people to scare the workers into voting for the union. But the scene is not as simple as it may seem. The alien workers were coerced by Neil into working as facilities. He used a mind-tampering fog called Submist to make them agree to his terms, and now that some of his workers are trying to group into a union, he has sent his own goons to scare them away. The entire situation is unsavory, but the surprises don't end there. Back from the job, the trio realizes that Frylock now works at Amazon and is actually friends with the despotic owner. They try to reach out to their former friend, but to no avail. Things take a turn for the worst. One night, the boxes they had been sleeping in come in contact with water. Plants sprout from the boxes in no time, and to everyone's horror, they turn out to be sentient, aggressive beings. With their back to the walls, Meatwad reaches out to Frylock, pretending to be sick. His call is answered. Frylock has successfully produced a taller clone of Neil. But as luck would have it, the clone is equally selfish. He soon captures his shorter predecessor to usurp power. When he reaches his friends, he sees their discovery. Carl had stolen a number of Amazon packages from people's doorsteps, only to find them empty. But it now turns out that the boxes were made of seeds and fertilizer, and these vegetative beings sprouted out of them whenever they were watered. Unwilling to be associated with the Aqua Teens again, Frylock returns to the Amazon headquarters, only to realize that Elmer had created these plants by harnessing his crystal. He is livid, and to top it all off, Big Neil has fired all the aliens and replaced them with these plants. But what he did not anticipate was a storm hitting the city, bringing about thousands of plant warriors. They overwhelm the city and wreak havoc. Elmer, tired of being neglected, has finally taken the big step. He transforms himself into the leader of the plant army and vies for control. The Aqua Teens and Carl are faced with a tidal wave of plant attackers. They are outnumbered and defenseless. Riding on Carl's makeshift car straight out of a Mad Max movie, they escape to the used Baby Wipe Mountain. The mountain is exactly as described in its name, and is the only place above the tree line. But the fight is not over. They have to stop Elmer's army from taking charge. But how? Just then, the Lama Dolly descends on the mountain of soiled wipes, proving all the rumors to be true. Big Neil has managed to escape the mayhem in his headquarters, and now wants to team up to stave off the attack. He has carried Neil in the box, and that is when it strikes them. If Neil drives the alien planet towards the sun, they can push the moon to cover the sun. Without sunlight, all the plants will die. Frylock leaves for the moon with the 2 Neils and the Lama Dolly, while the other 3 stay back to hold the fort. What ensues is an epic battle in between the celestial bodies. On Earth, Master Shake, Meatwad, and Carl go to war with the plant army that is marching onward. Now transformed into a huge tree warrior, Elmer is leading the charge. The 3 try every trick up their sleeve. They succeed, to an extent, but this is getting out of hand. They are outnumbered. Throwing flaming liquor bottles to light them on fire works, but only partially. Cornered and almost defeated, the trio nearly give up. But then something unexpected happens. It's the Japangaloids and Fraptaculans. The aliens have come to rescue them. With their slime-secreting trunks and dry skin shelling off, they manage to buy some time for our heroes. Up on the moon, there is a different fight. The Lama Dolly is faced with the Moonauts' war robot. In spite of their rather sprite-like appearance, they put up a fight. But it is of no use. Neil's unending resources are finally proving to be useful. He wins the fight against them, and they use the Lama Dolly to push the moon to cover the sun. Back on Earth, this has huge ramifications. With the sunlight gone, the temperature drops drastically, and the plants begin to die. Elmer sees his troops slowly disintegrating into piles of dry leaves. He begins to droop too. With the cold slowly killing out the ravaging plants, the Lama Dolly comes back to Earth. They won. The war is over. No, not entirely. Finally, out of the influence of the Submist, the aliens are baying for Neil's blood. And they go for it, killing both him and his tall clone. The Aqua Teens are reunited. None of them are teens anymore, but they are still friends. And that is what friends do. They stick together, especially in weather as cold as this. With Neil dead and the blocked sun unable to raise the temperatures back up, the warring aliens are now hungry. And that is where Carl sees his chance. The Aqua Teens are all made of food, he reminds them. The murderous mob surrounds their saviors, advancing on them slowly. The Aqua Teens back into each other. Before they know it, they are eaten by the Japangaloids and Fraptaculans.